Welcome to the New Orleans Saints podcast, presented by Rouse's Markets. You'll hear from players, coaches, broadcasters, and writers that cover the NFL daily. The New Orleans Saints podcast starts right now. Here's your host, Erin Summers.
Welcome into the New Orleans Saints podcast. Erin Summers here. It is rivalry weekend in New Orleans with the Atlanta Falcons coming to town Sunday, 3:25 kick on Fox. Drew Brees is on the call. Jimmy Graham will be in the building. He's the legend of the game. There is a lot going on as the Saints are coming off their bye week. Coach Moore said the energy has been great at practice all week. They have tweaked some things that they saw while self-evaluating over the week away and are ready to take on another divisional opponent. For today's episode, we're going to get some insight on the Falcons with Wes Durham, voice of the Falcons, check in with the Kicks for Kids beneficiary, New Orleans Women and Children's Shelter, and Austin Pasco, our senior manager of youth football development, has an interview with our final coach of the week for the season. Let's kick it off behind enemy lines with Wes Durham. Wes, thank you so much for joining me on the New Orleans Saints podcast. I always love having you on as much as maybe our fan base doesn't love anybody associated with the Falcons.
Sure.
You know, we go back, so I don't have too many hard feelings towards you coming into this weekend.
Isn't that the great thing, though, about Falcons Saints? Falcons Saints, and I tell people this all the time, and it doesn't resonate with the fan base of either franchise because they've been in it for so long. But if you step back and look at Falcons Saints, it's more of a college rivalry than a pro rivalry just because of the geography and the birth of each of the franchises and the players who, you know, have played for both teams. And now with, you know, Terry Fontenot coming from there, Caden Ellis was a Saint, you know, Anyamata, that kind of thing. It's really fascinating the way it's happened. And I enjoy the visits. I think the games are great. It's been fun to be part of, and I'm looking forward to Sunday as a result.
Yeah, I mean, right now with the new head coach and new quarterback, that's the first question is, what have you heard about this rivalry between the Falcons and the Saints? And they're like, I kind of have been hearing it from the fans for a little while that this is the thing I need to circle and know about. And this is what really matters. You know, when it's all said and done, you got to beat the Falcons. And I think that the sentiment goes both ways. Both of these teams right now, the Saints are building, the Falcons not having the season that they wanted. How did the Falcons get here? What's been the storyline of these last 5 games and the losses that they've had?
You know, it's interesting, Erin. I think there are a couple things that factor into this. One, Atlanta's not been able to really push through in close games. One of the things that was kind of a characteristic of the whole Matt Ryan administration here was the ability to win close games, the whole Matty Ice thing, stuff like that. Last couple of years, it's happened. Obviously, New Orleans a year ago, they kicked the field goal, you know, won the game on the throw, the slant to Kadarrell Hodge from Kirk Cousins in Atlanta. But it feels like in these close games, they have a hard time. Look, their last 3 games are by a total of 10 points, and 2 of them went to overtime, right? So they're close games. They just haven't been able to push through as easily as maybe they have previously. I think that's one of them. Second part is it's kind of an inverted team. It's a team that started off, you know, kind of trying to find its way on offense. And they've had some flashes. The Monday night win against Buffalo would certainly be one of those. The Sunday night win in Minnesota would be one of those. But defensively is where they've been their most effective, to be honest with you. The defense that Jeff Ulbricht's put on the field, the acquisition of the 2 first-round picks, the defensive ends, and Jalen Walker and James Pierce Jr., you know, even the guys down the line in the draft, Billy Bowman and then Xavier Watts out of Notre Dame, combine them with some of the guys they've had here. We were talking about Kalen Ellis before we went on the air. Then the development of guys like Brandon Dorlus and Zach Harrison and Ruka Rororo, and all of a sudden Atlanta's got a little bit of a playing personality. A.J. Terrell got hurt early. Now Mike Hughes and, you know, D. Alford were missing last week. What's that going to look like Sunday? You know, I mean, Atlanta played without Drake London, Mike Hughes, and D. Alford last week. That's a big deal. And then you lose Penix during the game, and now all of a sudden it's Kirk Cousins' game. And I will wrap on this. The thing at the end that's been the constant for the most part, beside Drake London when he's been healthy, is Bijan Robinson. Now, his numbers are a little different than they've been at the beginning of the year in terms of yards from scrimmage. He was like 164 in the first 5 games, of scrimmage yards. He's been under 100 now the last 5. And he's had games over 100, but certainly on average not that. He had a hard game against New England, who was pretty good against the run, had a hard game in Europe in the game in Germany. So, we'll kind of see how this unfolds Sunday. It's going to be interesting. I think some of New Orleans' strength is some of Atlanta's strength. Some of their weakness is Atlanta's weakness. We'll see. Like the turnover thing is interesting to me. Penalties, that kind of thing. And typically, you know how these games go. They come down to 1 or 2 plays and probably wrapped in controversy somewhere along the way. So,
oh, yeah.
Yeah. So we'll see.
With the defense, they have had 13 takeaways. So middle of the pack right there. And their strength has been against the pass.
Yeah.
And being able to limit that. And I think a lot of it looks like it starts up front and the way that they're able to put pressure on. What do we have to be aware of in regards to that?
Well, I think you got to look at the rookies again. I think Walker and Pierce have been terrific. But the guy who's probably helped himself really the most in this whole process is somebody like Brandon Dorlus and Zach Harrison. I mean, those are guys that have been a part of this. Now, Dorlus played less than 50 snaps last year as a rookie. So in his second year, he really kind of started to shine here a little bit. I mean, he comes in with 4.5 sacks and 8 tackles for loss. Zach Harrison, to me, is the third-year guy where the investment's starting to pay. I mean, he's got 8.5 sacks and 12 behind the line tackles. And I think he's been really good. To the point that I would say about the defensive front, they let Grady Jarrett walk in the offseason as a free agent. And Grady Jarrett's been gone, and it's not been one of those things where somebody turned around and went, wow, if Grady were here type thing. That speaks to what Jeff Ulbrich wanted to do and then the guys that have stepped forward. The one thing I will say, and I don't think he's going to play Sunday, but they have put the practice window back in place for Divine Diablo, who was a free agent signee in the offseason from Vegas. And to me, when he went down with the injury on the Sunday night game in San Francisco, the defense lost a little bit of its steam. And if he's able to come back and play Sunday, and again, I don't think that's the case, but that's just me. When he comes back on the field, if it's next week in New York or Sunday, Aaron, that changes the defense for me. He's really good, and he's been terrific here. Mm-hmm. And he was so productive. I mean, he had 24 tackles before he went to the sideline. And he was a guy that just seemingly was everywhere and was kind of the heartbeat a little bit of what they were doing defensively. And I think one of the reasons Caden Ellis has had such a good year is because Divine Diablo was there. And I'm going to be interested to kind of see, the timetable for his return. That's why they've been so good against the pass, is they've got a guy who's not really – he's listed as a linebacker. He's more of that hybrid safety linebacker guy, and I think he's a big part. He's a one of one in terms of what they want him to do, in my opinion.
Definitely something to watch out for going into this game Sunday. You mentioned the defense lost some steam with the injury to him. Through these past 3 games where you've been in them and not come out on top.
Right.
Overall, what is the team's mentality and vibe right now off these 5 straight losses?
Oh, it's been interesting because they came back from Germany, and the post-game from Germany was Michael Penix really down in the dumps. And, things have happened where, Penix talks about, who he talks to and things like that. That became a story. Then there was other things about who's getting the ball and why. And, Kyle Pitts started off well and now is kind of come back to have the temperament of the seasons he's had in the previous 4 years here. So for me, I think the mentality changes a little bit in this particular game. Again, like you said, you've talked to, whether Tyler Shuck knows at 26 years of age, it's Falcons Saints, right? What does Kellen Moore know about Falcons Saints? Kellen, do you really understand? That kind of thing. I think some of that's going to apply this week to Atlanta in certain respects. Kirk Cousins, you won't have to tell. Bijan Robinson, you won't have to tell. But Jalen Walker, probably because he played ball at Georgia, may have an inkling of it. Billy Bowman, Xavier Watts, Jesse Bates will take care of telling them, Diablo won't have a hard time getting him up to speed. He'll just ask Caden Ellis, what are you thinking playing for both? That kind of thing probably. Yeah. But there is that kind of element about this that I think it can change the season. And look, New Orleans is, won a couple ball games. You got the win in Charlotte, you got to have the nice bye week, and now you come back and a chance to beat your rival. And all of a sudden you're feeling pretty good, even though it's a 3-8 record. You're feeling a lot better in Atlanta because if they lose, that's 6 straight for the first time since 2019, and before that 2007. So I think there is enough here to give us another edition of Falcons Saints for sure.
Yeah, and they always say you can throw out the records. None of that matters
True.
because the emotions come into it. People play games that you never thought they had in them, etc. So,
Taysom Hill, I can run them off. You want me to roll 4 or 5 at you? I
yeah,
mean, Taysom Hill owning a game in Atlanta. Good heavens. I mean, it just drives me crazy. I
yeah,
mean, Terrence Copper caught a Hail Mary from Drew Brees in the end zone at a halftime against Atlanta. I mean, just unbelievable.
yeah. When you throw in the aspect of Drew Brees calling the game, he's going to be
Well,
in the
there's the
building.
other thing about this, by the way. Okay, it wasn't enough that Jonathan Vilma's done like the last 5 Falcons Saints games on Fox. Now they switch things up, and here comes Drew Brees to work. Holy smokes. I mean, well, that's just more listeners for us, I guess.
Well, Jimmy Graham's going to be in the building. He's a legend,
Sure,
so
why not? Yeah,
he's
he kills
coming
the
in,
Falcons too. Is
right?
Cam Jordan still playing?
Yeah.
Cam Jordan, I see on this depth chart, there's no possible way Cam Jordan's a backup. Not the way he owns Atlanta. I mean, come on. And, Alvin Kamara is from here. So again, it comes back in waves every time it's Falcons and Saints. It feels
Yeah. Looking at the Falcons offense,
sure.
you mentioned quarterback Michael Penix went out in the last game. He is now out for the season. Wide receiver Drake London going to miss this one as well.
Yeah.
How much of this game is going to be focused on establishing that run and just really hammering that aspect of things?
Well, this will be an interesting wrinkle to Sunday because of where New Orleans is in the league against the run, right?
Mhm.
And now I think they've been a little better here in the last couple times out. But Atlanta's probably got to find the right combination or chemistry, if you will, for Bijan Robinson and Tyler Algier, because this feels like it has to have both of them in the game. And they've both been impactful in games against New Orleans in the past. So I think it'll be interesting to watch and see how this kind of unfolds. For me, I think Atlanta has to start well on offense. I think that it's been one of the things that has contributed doubt to games as this losing streak has worn on a little bit. And I think there'll be an element here that we have to find with, at least in the run game, what Bijan and Tyler can get done to free up Kirk a little bit.
Mhm.
I don't think Atlanta, now, again, you can be wrong at this, but for me, this is not the kind of game where you want Kirk to go in there and say, Kirk, you got to get 350 in the Air Force. This needs to be a game where Atlanta can kind of keep it in front of them a little bit. Because this is the part about these teams, Aaron, and in Atlanta's case, the London injury leaves you with a one of Darnell Mooney, right? That's your number one receiver. Well, who's your number 2? See, Atlanta's kind of been missing that like 3 guy, if you will. Started out as Casey Washington. He got hurt. David Sills has come in and contributed. Hodge is obviously a guy who plays primarily on special teams. Now, he's known for the slant touchdown last year against the Saints, but he's that guy that provides some of that boost, if you will. That really becomes kind of the element here Atlanta's got to find out. Is your third receiver or is your second receiver Kyle Pitts? How are you going to do this on Sunday? So I think more importantly than ever is Atlanta's ability to run the ball.
I think that's interesting because the Saints are almost in the same position with wide receivers. They do
Correct.
have Chris Olave, but they just dealt Rashid Shaheed, let Brandon Cooks walk. So we're in a weird situation in terms of how the ball is going to be distributed and to who as well. So it's going to be interesting to see the game plans for both of these teams coming into it. There's always familiarity between the teams, the franchises. But now that you have a new head coach here with the Saints, I think that does add a wrinkle to preparation, considering he also is bringing along a new quarterback, too. You don't have a big sample size of that.
Yeah, I think that part, and having seen Shuck play a couple times in college at Louisville, I think, number one, I was never in doubt that he would ultimately get the job, right? I thought this was the reason they took him long-term because they thought they really had an opportunity here. I'm with you, though. I think both these teams want to run the ball if they can.
Yeah.
I mean, just to kind of settle the water a little bit. Now, for me, the X factor is always somebody like Taysom Hill because Kellen Moore can be no different than Dennis Allen or anybody else who's coached New Orleans. Taysom Hill's on the roster. The guy can do 3 things for you. So you might as well let him do all 3 if he can. And then I mentioned Kamara. He just he makes my heart just sink a little bit because I know how explosive he can be, especially when it's Atlanta.
Uh-huh.
And Olave is dangerous. Now, it's not the combination of receivers New Orleans or at the Tampa throws at you that New Orleans has. But again, just because I don't know Mason Tipton or Devon Bell doesn't mean that I don't think they can play.
Mm-hmm.
And so it'll be interesting to see. Plus, Jawan Johnson's got 43 catches.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a guy who's been impactful this year. So, again, I think Jawan Johnson and Kyle Pitts are kind of the outliers a little bit maybe for what we see in the throw game. Behind the brands at wide receiver, Bijan Robinson's caught passes. I know Kamara's only got 31 catches this year. That's a pretty good number for him. Both backs catch it, tight ends catch it. If you don't have a dominant 2 receiver, unless they sign Jimmy Graham to a contract, which wouldn't stun me. How does that factor play out in the ball game on Sunday? I think is really curious too. May mean that both defenses feel comfortable adding a guy to the box too. They +1 the box. It'll be interesting to see how the game unfolds there too.
Yeah, and then you mentioned the turnover aspect as well. So if you can force them into situations where they're going to have to pass, get ahead early, maybe there's opportunities to capitalize on some mistakes.
Yeah.
You just never know what these games are going to come down to.
Yeah.
If you had a crystal ball, what do you think is the most important thing for either side?
Well, 3rd down in the losing streak for Atlanta has been just a brutal down. I mean, they're 24% on 3rd down the last 5 games. Little better on Sunday against Carolina before Penix got hurt. I would say 3rd down is going to be important. I would also note, too, a couple of weeks ago, we were talking about 1st down value and what they were doing on 1st down. I still would say this to you. I think it's imperative Atlanta start well. I just feel like given everything that has happened here and what's going to transpire Sunday, a good start seems imperative if you want to try and win the game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's something they're focusing on here too, especially being back at home in the Dome. You want to get the fans behind you.
Yep.
Not let any of the Falcons fans that do travel very well get excited.
It's amazing. It's amazing how like the airline cost from Atlanta to New Orleans or New Orleans to Atlanta the weekend of these games is like triple the normal fare. It is crazy.
They know what's going on.
Absolutely. And it is great. That's the part we were talking about at the top. That's the part I feel like the collegiate aspect of this never gets lost, for me at least, in that light.
Yeah, and I think you have a good pulse on that because you are still out there calling all of these college games too.
Yeah. Well, I tell Arch all the time. I mean, Iowa State had Nebraska back in his days when he played college ball. I've grown up around the ACC, and I know good college rivalries when I see one, and that's why I think Atlanta and New Orleans kind of fits that bill more than it does as a pro rivalry.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I got to give a shout out because you're covering my team this weekend.
Oh, the
Heels.
Heels.
Head here.
Oh, boy, the Tar Heels.
Yeah. I really don't bring them up a lot just because the state of things there right now.
It's not gone according to the script they had hoped. Let's put it that way.
No, it has not. But, always hoping for a win against your rival. Would like UNC to pull it out. Would like the Saints to as well.
There you go.
Yeah. Thank you, Wes, so much. I appreciate it.
Great to see you, Erin.
I want to welcome in Don Bradley Fletcher, CEO of New Orleans Women and Children's Shelter. Right now, the Saints are partnering with the shelter and Keesler Federal Credit Union to provide them with the Kicks for Kids program. It's $1,000 for every made field goal. The shelter is the beneficiary here. It's a really great opportunity for the shelter, and I would so excited to talk to you about what the shelter does, how the money is going to be used. So if you could just tell us a little bit more about the program and what they do here in the community.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me. The New Orleans Women and Children Shelter is one of the largest shelters in the city of New Orleans. We serve intact families in addition to women and children, and we're happy to say that we are keeping families together. Our goal is to make sure that we're breaking the cycle of homelessness, and we're doing that by making sure all of our families have everything that they need to overcome the barriers that cause their homelessness, and that's whatever it takes for us.
Can you tell me a little bit about the legacy of the Women and Children's Shelter, how long they've been here, and just the impact that they've been able to have here in New Orleans?
For the last 18 years, we've served over 4,700 individuals. Majority of those individuals were children. We've actually modified our programming to accommodate the kids, so we have additional programming to support our kids because 2/3 of our population are children. In that time frame, only 2% of those families have returned to homelessness. our programs open doors for more supporters, new potential partnerships with other corporations, and hopefully more donations will allow us to help our residents feel more empowered.
As the holidays are approaching, I'm sure this is a time where the work becomes even more important because we're all thinking about what we're thankful for. And I'm sure that it means a little bit more just with Thanksgiving around the corner and Christmas and wanting to help provide happy moments around those times.
Yes, and we make sure we focus on giving our kids and families an opportunity to have the same moments that anyone else would have. So we highlight the holidays. We invite the community to come in and share those moments with us. But this is certainly a time where we want to make our families feel empowered and special, especially for the kids, because they're going through some traumatizing experiences, especially when it comes to homelessness. So being able to celebrate them and celebrate their families and give them an opportunity to celebrate and be thankful for each other, we want to make sure that we're offering our families the same opportunities that anyone else have.
Mm-hmm. Is there any story that you can share with us that just really resonates about the impact that you're having, a touching moment?
I always go back to that moment when we were not serving kids over 12 years of age. And I could not figure out for the life of me where that rule came from. And we had a mother who was in the shelter. And I pulled up to work one day and she was standing at the curb and crying. And I said, hey, miss, what's going on? And she explained, my son can't stay with his aunt anymore, so I have to leave the shelter. I said, no, you don't have to leave the shelter. We're going to figure this out. So I asked her back in, and we sat down. We talked about some things. I immediately called the founders on the phone, Dan and Jackie Silverman, and I said, hey, they were familiar with the family. She's standing outside. We have to figure something out. So at that moment, we decided we were not following the rule that I don't even know who created that rule. But that was a breaking point for me because at that moment, we knew we had to do whatever it took to keep the families together. I had no idea where a 12-year-old boy would go if his mom was not with him. Mm-hmm. His mom is in the shelter and he's somewhere else. How does that fit? It does not fit. So at that moment, I think I became the rule breaker in town, and there's a ton of rules that we do not follow because our goal is to make sure that we're keeping the families together. We do not want all of the barriers to become an obstacle for them. So if it means, hey, we're going to allow our families to bring food in, we're not going to ask you to leave at 7 a.m. in the morning with all of your luggage, we're going to do that.
Yeah, that's awesome. I really appreciate all the work that you're doing and knowing that you're going to have this additional money coming in. How is it going to be used?
This will help us to continue supporting our families. We provide everything for our families at the New Orleans Women and Children Shelter. They don't have to worry about where their next meal is coming from. They do not have to worry about where their safety net is. We provide case management services, complete wraparound services, including education and employment programs, parenting programs, life skills training, everything that they need to get back on their feet. So every dollar that goes into the shelter assists families with becoming stable. And our goal is to make sure that they are never homeless again.
It's not only what you're providing for them in terms of the financial aspect of it and the opportunities, but these people probably don't have a lot of hope right now. And that's what you provide.
Absolutely. And I actually want to get a sign for the door that says, "Hope lives here," because that's what we're doing. We're providing hope. Hope is what we do. We give hope through consistency, compassion, high standards, and accountability. Most of all, we give hope by standing in the gap, showing every mother, every father, every child that no matter what they have been through, what they've seen, they're supported and they have a future that's worth fighting for. And we're here to support them through that.
Speaking to that support, it's obviously something that's important to you to do. What do you enjoy about your work there?
Honestly, I enjoy showing up every day and just being there for the families and giving them an opportunity to better themselves. I have to speak to that because I am so grateful to have a staff and I'm just going to say from the top down, from our board, from our founders down, we have people who genuinely care about the families that we're serving. They genuinely care about the work that we're doing, and it speaks to the quality of our work. And just to see the smile on the kids' faces when they're off to school, they have new clothes, they have food to eat, and just being a part of their lives and their journey, it makes me feel good to show up to work every day.
Yeah, I think it's great that the Saints are partnering for that cause. And it's a great program that they're doing, the Kicks for Kids. Hopefully we can have some more field goals, because that's what we're all aiming for, more money, more points on the board, right? And I see you have a Saints shirt on. It's just audio only here, so I got to let the viewers know, the listeners know that you have to be a fan.
Oh, I'm absolutely a fan. I actually started to come with my boots and my hat, but I'm saving all of that for the game on Sunday. But
Absolutely,
yes,
big game.
Yes, I'm so excited that I'm going to be there. And I am a season ticket holder, and I enjoy the games. Oh my goodness. I think I'm in the number one fan group.
Okay. Yeah. I like that. And it makes me happy that we have people here that support the community and doing all these things, because that's what the Saints ultimately want to do as well. You know, we're all here to build up each other, give hope to the fan base. Hopefully this Sunday we're going to be doing that with a win, because it's the Falcons.
Oh, absolutely. We're so grateful to both the Saints and Keesler Federal Credit Union. This is amazing, and we're just so appreciative that they chose the New Orleans Women and Children Shelter. It just lets us know that what we're doing in the community is not going in vain, and we appreciate everyone who wants to be a part of us helping to break the cycle of homelessness.
No, it is definitely an important cause. It's been great having you here, and I'll be looking for you on Sunday.
Oh, and I'm going to be probably the loudest fan, so you may see me.
Every field goal counts. $1,000 will be donated to the Women's and Children's Shelter. So really great stuff here. Thank you so much for letting us know a little bit more about the shelter and how the money is going to be used.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Week 10's Coach of the Week is Jesse Turner from Covenant Christian High School. Turner was surprised in front of the whole school, K through 12 last week, with his two sons in attendance. One is a 9th grader and the starting safety for the team, and the other a 3rd grader. Here is Austin Pasco, our Senior Manager of Youth Football Development, with Coach Turner.
What's going on, everybody? It is Coach AP. We are back for our last and final New Orleans Saints High School Coach of the Week. I am standing here with Jesse Turner from Covenant Christian. Coach, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good, man. Just blessed, man, and thankful, just for the recognition that we can get as a staff and as a team. The hard work is paying off. Obviously, there's more work for us to do, but at the time, man, we just, we are where our feet are, and we just thankful for sure.
Absolutely. And look, we actually came over to the church to it's almost preaching to the whole congregation, the K through 12, where we got to present you the award of Coach of the Week. But look, man, they want to get to know you a little bit. So, talk to me about, because you're from this area, you're from Houma. What was it like growing up in this area?
Man, I loved it, man. You just learned so much about the culture. You learn so much about the city, the food for sure. But, just growing up, I had, some boys. All we did was play ball, man. We played basketball, played football. Everybody was outside when I grew up. It's different now, the guys with the video games and things like that. But it was, it was a safe place to go outside, small community. Everybody loved each other. Everybody took part in, raising the community. It take a village to raise a child. But at the end of the day, man, I loved it growing up here for sure.
And you grew up just not from here, but you played at Ellender, right? And you were a stud. You played offense and defense, flipping back and forth. What was that like, just playing on both sides of the ball?
Man, I love football. I just, I eat, breathe, and sleep football. So when I had the opportunity to play both ways, I took the challenge. Some nights after the game, I was really, really sore. I was in pain, but I loved every bit of the pain. And I tell my kids now that you're going to miss the pain. You're going to miss the soreness and, just the grind of the game of football. But it was definitely a pleasure playing over there. I played on it with some great friends of mine that we grew friends playing the game of football. So it was just a great experience for me, my high school career.
And then you left Ellender, right? And then you went on to Nichols.
Yep.
Correct?
Yes, sir.
And then even from there, you were playing both sides of the ball. So what was that from the high school level playing on both sides, and then the collegiate level, almost basically playing both sides?
Yeah, not so Travis Hunter so I played. I started off playing running back, and We had some senior running backs in the backfield, so they wanted to put me on the field some way, somehow. So they moved me to corner. And in that corner, I made a few plays, but we got new coaching staff in, and I moved to running back. And that, I started, excelling a little bit. But it was fun, man. I enjoyed my college experience right here in the backyard. Dad and mom was at every game. Family was at every game, tailgating, enjoying themselves. I had friends, was able to come to the game. They didn't have to travel hours and hours. It's 30 minutes away. So it definitely was a pleasure playing in the backyard at Nichols, man. I learned so much about the game and also gained some more friends, right? In the game of football, you build relationships, through the toughness, through the blood, sweat, and tears. Those guys that you see across from you, they in it with you. They got your back. I got their back. And you gain so many friends, so many relationships. So I wouldn't, change that for the world.
And then, so you graduate Nichols.
Yes,
right?
sir.
You get into the coaching space.
100%, yeah.
So you go back to Ellender, right? And you're a
Yeah.
positional coach. You bounce around from OC, DC.
Yeah.
Like, what was that like going back to your alma mater to be an assistant coach and eventually a head coach?
It's like going back home. It's so much familiarity within the building. Understanding the kids and where they come from, understanding the culture. So it was love, man. It was love. But I did have to learn the transition from being a player to a coach. It's the preparation is crazy. Obviously, as a football player, you prepare, right? You get your body together. You watch a little film and understanding your opponent. But now you're responsible for somebody else, putting them in the right place at the right time and make sure they have the tools to achieve their goals. So I took that as a challenge. So. Once I became a position coach, I had a mindset of being a coordinator one day. And once I became a coordinator, I'm like, okay, I want to run the ship one day. And then God, he's just so amazing. He's so good. And he blessed me through every step of the way, man. And I learned so much through the journey. It's just been a pleasure, man. I wouldn't. This is the job that I do. I tell my wife all the time, if coaching goes away, I don't know what I'm going to do. Because it's just the game of football, just these kids, the staff, man, just love to being around them.
Right. And so, like, that Ellender part, right? You
Yeah.
became the head coach.
Yeah.
I know you had some hardships. You talk about finding that purpose where
Yeah.
you're just not building men on the field, but off the
sure.
field as well. And you want to make sure that they're having the tools and resources later in life.
100%.
Like, what are those kind of things that you're trying to teach them as almost being that father figure, uncle, or, just that support system of being a head coach?
For sure, man. And I have to say, man, my dad was a big part in my life. My mom as well. But my football coaches, like my high school football coach, like Tawaski Anderson, man, he understood that it was bigger than the game. So he would talk to me about off the field things. He would talk to me about just life in general. And so with that being said, that was a big intricate part of where I am today. So I wanted to really do the same thing for kids, especially in my community, because we see nowadays how kids can fall short. Kids can actually go the opposite route of, what they really want to do and get themselves in trouble. So I felt like if I can do my part, right, of just coaching the game of football, teaching the kids how to live the right way, play the right way, and just being a model for them and building the staff as well, to be just models of, how to be productive citizens in the community and to help one another. I felt like that would be big. And through my journey, I did lose a brother to gun violence, right? And that really just turned it up just a little bit more. Now it's just, you speaking of that, like, just every decision that you make is very, very important. One decision can change your life forever, right? So we got to just be mindful of that. So we talk about that to the kids all the time. It's more of that than X's and O's. So, yeah.
Right. And then, so you leave Ellender. You come here to Covenant Christian.
Yeah.
I mean, shoot, you're just not the football coach. I think you're teaching Spanish 1 and a few other classes, right? So, I mean, like, how did that transition, come about?
Yeah, when Coach Jack and the administration team and Harvey Sharp, those guys, they reached out to me and asked me where I would be interested in coming here because they were looking for a coaching change. And my feet I was where I was, man. I was at my alma mater. I was comfortable. I was happy, but at the end of the day, just taking a meeting with them and understanding their vision, I'm like, hold up. I had to go home and talk to the wife. And, my kids was here at the same time. So that's why I took the meeting in the first place. But just seeing that their vision, they wanted to really win. They wanted to be very, very competitive in their division. And they wanted to do what it takes to win. For them reaching out to me at the time, I felt good that somebody, you always feel good that somebody wants you. But at the end of the day, our vision matched. So I took a second meeting and talked a little logistics and things like that, and it just made sense. It was definitely a tough move, man. Probably one of the toughest things I had to do in my life, if I had to be honest, because I loved those kids where I was. Like, again, that's my community. That's where I grew up at. But coming here, man, it was a blessing in disguise. Sometimes, we always tell kids, like, sometimes you got to get uncomfortable to grow. And, at first it was a little uncomfortable. Me teaching Spanish, I don't look nothing like I know any Spanish, right? But at the end of the day, just adjusting and understanding the culture here. And it's a winning culture. And the kids embrace, bought into what we were telling them when I built the staff. And now we're here, right? 10-0 last year. In the regular season, 8-2 with another bye week and another district championship. Now we're really looking to advance, trying to get back to where we were last year and even go further. Yeah.
I mean, you keep talking about culture and life purpose and everything like that. I mean, I think one of your administrators was telling me that your OC is your second grade best school friend. You know what I mean? So how does that vibe into the coaching demographic?
Man, he's Coach Nixon. Man, he's my brother. I don't even call him a friend. He's definitely a brother of mine. We actually became stronger friends through the game of football. And he graduated from Ellender as well, so he understands exactly where we want to go. And it was times where we were coaching at Ellender together, and we had visions of moments like this, right? Going 10-0, building a team that can be competitive no matter what division it is. We can be competitive with anybody. That's the mindset. That's the mentality we have. And him going play in Canada definitely helped our offense a little bit because he brings some of those schematics here. I listen. I listen most of the time, especially when we talking X and O's with him. But he's drinking the same Kool-Aid that I am, man. We trying to get these kids on a straight line and make sure they understand, again, the decisions that they make can impact their life.
Absolutely. And a few more and then we'll wrap it up. But, I mean, how cool is it that not only do you have your son here that's in third grade, but also, too, you're coaching and teaching your son who's in ninth grade, who I heard is a beast on the football field. You got family all the way throughout. What is that like every single day?
I mean, it's love, man. I'm going to be honest. It's like I say, I'm blessed, man. My God up there, man, I don't know. I guess he just got something special for me, man. He's just amazing. Just coaching my ninth grader, man, it can be tough at times, right? But at the end of the day, he wants it, right? He embraces it. He wants to get better. He's not shy of the work, he's getting better day by day, man. He made some big plays for us this year in big games, and that's what we expect of him. And he's not my little boy no more, man. He's about 6'1", 190 right now. So I gotta kind of be cautious if I talk to him a little bit. But I still, bump him around in the house, let him know who the big dog is. Then my third grader, he's just full of energy and he can play as well, man. He looks up to his big brother. He looks up to his dad, and just to see him every time I pass him in school, he's dad, and all his classmates want to dap up coach, man. And so it's crazy every day, man. It's feel like you're just walking on the moon, man. So it's great.
Man, and look, and I saw him whenever we were presenting the award to you. He's raising his hand. He's like, "Oh, that's my dad." Dude, that looks like your brother. That's a big old guy right there, man. But no, that's awesome. And then, just closing out, I know you kind of hit it on in the very beginning, but what does this award mean to you to be the New Orleans Saints High School Coach of the Week? And look, this is our last one. This is the last one of the regular season. So, what does that mean for you to be, that Coach of the Week this week?
Yeah, I guess y'all saved the best for last. Right? I hope y'all saved the best for last. But, man, it just shows, man, the work that we put in from the summer to now. We work extremely hard, man, and to get recognized, and not only just recognized by our hometown team, the New Orleans Saints, which I'm a humongous fan of. I don't miss a game, man, and just to be recognized by you guys, man, it means so much. It's hard to put into words. It feels great, man. This is what it's about. When I get to my kids, this is when hard work pays off, because it's not about me. All right, it's not about one single person, not about the quarterback. It's not about it's about us together, about the managers, about the administration, about the headmaster. It's about everybody just coming together, believing, right? And that's one word that we're carrying throughout the playoffs is believe, right? We have to believe. So at the end of the day, man, it's great to be recognized, especially by you guys, man. This is a blessing and an honor, and we got to keep it going because, be honest, we want more stuff like this.
And look, and after meeting you and after being here and part of this community today, I definitely believe that we made the right selection in our Coach of the Week this week. But look, man, parting words. You got any for the fans?
Man, just keep it going, man. Keep it going for us. We're going to put the best product on the field. Our guys going to play 100% like they've been playing all season. And we're going to take it game by game. Just be with us as we do it. And, again, y'all can use the word again, believe. Use it in the stands, use it in the community. We believe we can do it.
Well, look, I believe that's going to wrap everything up for us. But listen, Coach, we wish you all the luck in the world. The rest of the LHSAA playoffs and everything like that, hopefully we'll see you down in the Superdome that second week in December. Make sure you check out those scoreboards this week. This is going to do it for Coach AP and Coach of the Week. We will see you next time.
Appreciate all of our guests today. And like I said, there is so much going on this weekend. It is also the My Cause, My Cleats game for the Saints. The campaign kicked off this week across the NFL. NFL players, coaches, and staff are displaying custom and creatively designed cleats to elevate important causes and nonprofit organizations. The Saints have been revealing their causes and cleats this week. And following the game, players can choose to donate their cleats by auctioning them off on the NFL auction. All funds raised will be donated by the NFL Foundation to each player's selected charity. You can bid on those cleats throughout the season at nflauction.nfl.com. Really hope everybody comes out to the Superdome this weekend. We need a rockin' Saints crowd behind us as the Saints aim for that win over the Falcons. As always, you can tune into the New Orleans Saints pregame show at neworleanssaints.com an hour before kickoff, so 2:25-ish. And then after the game, we'll be right back there, neworleanssaints.com, myself and Scott Shanley, to break down everything that happened in the game. Thanks as always for listening, and go Saints.
Thanks for listening to the New Orleans Saints podcast presented by Rouse's Markets. Join us 3 times per week on neworleanssaints.com, the Saints mobile app, or you can download the podcast on iTunes. We'll see you next time, right here on the New Orleans Saints podcast, presented by Rouse's Markets.